Hi friends, welcome back to Creative Spark. I'm your host Kaiji Kiriyama, coming to you from my frozen office up here in Canada. Today on the show we're chatting with a very dedicated, positive, and impactful streamer, Griver84. Welcome to Creative Spark, and thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
So I want to start off, let's just dive into these questions. I want to start off talking to you about your streaming journey. I want to know, how long have you been streaming? What inspired you to start streaming in the first place? And what's the origin of your name?
Well, I've been streaming on and off since probably about 2015. I didn't really start taking it super seriously until a couple years ago, though, like probably mid 2018. What inspired me in the first place is actually a bit of a story. Um, I'd actually injured my back at work. And after months of kind of bouncing back and forth between doctors, found out I had to have back surgery. And so, of course, when you have back surgery, you are basically down and out for a while, depending on the surgery. Um, and, while I was, basically bedridden and could occasionally get out, get on my computer, I found Twitch. And I started hanging out in people's communities, getting to know kind of the site. And you know, ended up becoming mods for a couple of people, made some friends, and they started to kind of nudge me and they're like, hey, you should try out streaming. And I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything right now work wise, and maybe I can make something out of this. And so I started broadcasting. August of 2015 was like my very first stream. I think I might have played like League of Legends or something for a couple hours, just make, a game that I was playing at the time, and like, just to kind of get my feet wet on the site. And it's kind of snowballed from there. And then the origin of my name is actually a pretty simple one. I was a big fan of Final Fantasy games in high school, and I played a lot of Final Fantasy VIII. And for those of you who have ever, spoiler, gotten to the end of the game, there is a certain character that has a name very similar to mine, but spelled differently. And because I was a very intelligent teenager, I took away the E in the name and said, well, my username is now Griver. And most websites, that name is taken. So I was like, well, I have to do something else to be consistent. So I'll just add my birth year, because why not? And that's how Griver84 came to be.
I I've never played Final Fantasy VIII, so now that you explain it, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
But I never played Final Fantasy VIII. So you're a big fan of Clay Entertainment and the Don't Starve series. You played a lot, even including
Mm-hmm.
community mods where they can torment your character in game, and by extension you. What about this series just struck you and encouraged you to build a community around the game?
Uh, so when I first discovered Don't Starve, it was back like when the very first DLC for the original Don't Starve solo experience came out. It was called Reign of Giants. So that was my introduction into the game. And I immediately fell in love with the Tim Burton-esque art style, the very challenging aspect of it literally just drops you in like a survival scenario. No instructions, no guidance, no indicators of what you should do or what threats you should be aware of. And it just goes, good luck. And you kind of have to go from there. The permadeath, the randomness, all of these things, have led me, into discovering the fact that I like, either things like Metroidvanias or roguelites or, just indie games in general, because there's usually a lot more personality to them. The dev studios are often very connected to their communities and their audiences. There's a lot of communication, so you know what's coming. Um, and I started playing it, and I got lost in it for months. And then their second DLC came out, Shipwrecked, and because of the hours that I had already put into the game. Now, mind you, I was doing this all off stream. I would stream Don't Starve occasionally back in those days, but I was bouncing around between 5 or 6 different games, trying to find myself as a content creator. Trying to use bigger games to draw in audiences like League and Overwatch and stuff like that. And I actually got given early access to Shipwrecked. So I was like, cool, this is great. And, dove even deeper into the game, started pulling apart, game code, writing. I have a huge Reddit post from when it first came out of me breaking down, like new recipes, science stuff, all of that. Just giant gamer nerd. Everybody's got a random game that they kind of dive into and break apart, and Don't Starve was that for me. And just the longer I played it, the more I've enjoyed it. Then of course, DST came out, and that's kind of when the Don't Starve community on Twitch started to take off, or at least, from my perspective. In the beginning, DST didn't hit the ground running as fast as it has now. Kind of when I started taking streaming seriously is when the DST community started to kind of balloon. And that kind of revolves around Clay's introduction of the Twitch drop system. And for those of you who may or may not have seen games like that before, basically, as you watch a content creator, you can earn in-game rewards, depending on how long you watch them. And of course, people love their free rewards, and so the community bloomed because of that. And a lot of my regulars now were people who stumbled into my channel just for drops, and unmuted my stream for whatever reason, and have stuck around. So it's been I have to thank Clay a lot for what they've done for their game and their community, and the opportunity is given creators, of smaller sizes, back then, like myself, to grow.
So you are very open about your own mental health struggles, and you include and encourage that openness in your community, building a place where people can come to speak openly about their own struggles with mental health and not be judged. Obviously, you're not a mental health professional, and you put that all over your page. But aside from using this as a way to speak about and cope with your own struggles, why do you feel that this is such an important part of your community and your content?
The reason I like to focus on mental health for my community, my content, is because a lot of it stems back to, being the eldest child of my family and trying to figure out life in general as I was growing up. I didn't have an older sibling to lean on and say, hey, you've been through this before. Like, how did you handle it? And so one of the most resounding thoughts for the mental health aspect and my community as a whole is that the Guardians are there to be that person or people that you needed when you were younger to look up to, or say, hey, how do I do this thing called life, or get through these struggles that seem overwhelming from day to day. And it's had a very resounding effect. I have had multiple community members they've come to me after watching me for months, if not a couple years, and tell me specifically, they're like, the fact that you're so open about, mental health, and you encourage such an environment, that they were like, yeah, if I hadn't have found your community, I wouldn't be around right now to say this. And that really strikes a chord as a content creator. Not even as a content creator, just as a person, to know that you've had that profound of an impact on someone. And I don't claim to be some super knowledgeable person about mental health. I like you said, I give the disclaimers. I'm not a professional. I'm not trained to be a professional. Will never claim to be a professional. I know my struggles and how I've dealt with them and use those to relate to other people. But it's something to say that you've made that kind of impact in
Mhm.
someone's life.
You're also pretty active as a charity streamer, you raising money for various causes over the years. What is your favorite part about doing charity-focused events and streams? And do you prefer to join in on the big events like the St. Jude play, or fly solo and do your own incentives?
When I was given this question, I actually found it very interesting from an outside perspective
Mm-hmm.
that someone sees me as a charity streamer, because to me, I don't feel like I've really done a lot in the charity scene. Now, these past couple of months, I've been a little bit more active in um, raising money for Extra Life, and I did one before that. I'm trying to remember. It's escaping me at the moment, but I've had a couple charity streams this year, trying to kind of like, in my opinion, dip my toe into that part
Mm-hmm.
of streaming, because I would like to be able to help people out, and the reward of being able to say that you've raised X amount of dollars to help like kids get medical care. Or now that I think about it a little bit, I have been in charity initiatives here and there,
Mm-hmm.
because of some of my affiliations, like for example, Techne. um One of the things that they do, and one of the reasons I affiliated with them when I first got the opportunity, was that they write a uh, charity check at the end of each calendar year for different initiatives, whether it be, childhood hunger, Lou Gehrig's disease, veterans, depending on like what color of chair they're uh, um, that people buy from them. Each portion meets the proceeds, and then of course I'm also a humble partner, so there's those proceeds as well. So passively, I have been a charity streamer, and I've been looking to get more into it. I did my first really big event this year with my talent agency, Inception Talent. We did the Extra Life campaign, Games for Good, and it was really fun to be part of something like that, and to know that, there may have been kids watching the event, that, like, were in the hospital, and being able to, like, give them that type of content, cheer them up a little bit. I got to play Slime Rancher again. It was, it's an adorable game. Um, and, I look forward to progressing more into, I think, big team events as things go forward, and eventually, who knows? I might be able to raise money like some of the bigger streamers in the future.
So, as a streamer, what are some of the more unique and fun things you've brought to your community, and how do you overcome the challenges of, frankly, being a streamer?
Something unique I've brought to my community. Um, I'd have to say that the unique thing about me and my community is the fact that I'm very chat and community focused.
Mm-hmm.
The game has always been a backdrop to whatever conversations going on that night, whether, like, for a lot of people, politics have been very important this year. So, people have been getting educated about that. Or, we might be discussing random current events like DMCAs, or um, what was it the other night? I had a stream completely derailed to the point where I had to pause Don't Starve, because I was laughing so hard I couldn't focus on it, because we were talking about random food combinations. And it is become a meme on my channel because it's something that I grew up with. I like to ask my chat every so often of, you know, do you like your chili on your cinnamon roll or in a bowl beside it? Because growing up, that was a thing. You take a bowl, you put a cinnamon roll in it, you cover it in chili, and you enjoy. And the you're shaking your
I've
head is the
never
reaction I
heard.
get.
I've
Yeah,
never heard of. I think you're the person who told me about that. I think I was
I
in
put
the
it on Twitter, yeah,
stream.
or something. Yeah,
I think I was in the stream, and I was like, "What?"
it usually causes my entire chat to, like record scratch and then derail the train, and it goes off in another direction. And it got so bad that there's a clip from the other night of me. Someone mentioned peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
And they said something else, and my brain, immediately went, "Ooh, something shiny. Here's something I can share." And I pulled up an image of a reverse peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is basically you make it normally and then you put the two non-covered sides together and hold it. And I'm pretty sure the general response was, "You need some help, Griever."
Have you done that?
No, but it's
Oh,
funny to reference.
okay. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I'm
that's
not.
too
I'm
much.
I'm bad, but I'm not that bad.
Okay.
Um, but I like having that type of community. The fact that we can completely just go off the rails about whatever we're talking about. But it's fun. It's what I enjoy as a content creator, and it's one of the things I hope to continue as I grow. I understand, as I get more and more people in my chat, it gets harder and harder to address each and every individual person. And, I've had nights where I've had, 700, 800 people in my chat, and I kind of can keep up, but it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And that's one of the challenges that I try to overcome is, keeping that same vibe and feeling for the people of my community as I build it. Um, and then just general challenges of being a streamer. Um, I have to do a lot of planning. One of the things they don't tell you when you're like, hey, anybody can be a streamer. Yes, anyone can click that button, go live, and say, hey, Twitch, how's it going? Or hey, YouTube, or hey, Facebook. What they don't tell you is that, yeah, don't expect to have a social life ever again. um, you're going to spend a lot of your free time researching games that you want to play or trying to make content for various websites that's pre-recorded, or you're going to be dealing with emails from different individuals.
You're describing my life right now, man.
But at the same time, it's rewarding,
Mm-hmm.
like I've been saying throughout the conversation, is that knowing that I've made a difference
Mm-hmm.
in people's lives just by being around
Mm-hmm.
makes up for all the headache and chaos and the fact that I want to headbutt my wall every so
Mm-hmm.
often because I can't seem to get things to work right.
So everything we just talked about kind of ties into my next question.
Mhm.
And just knowing that it's different for every person and it's very much like a your mileage may vary thing, but do you have any sort of I wish I knew then advice for anybody who might just be who I can't talk might just be starting out on their content creation, or who might be coming back to it now and to see things that are like so different from where it was 3 or 4 years ago?
The first thing I would say, advice wise, for anybody that wants to get started as a content creator or is coming back after an extended break, is understand that it takes time. Unless you are very, very lucky or you are very, very popular on some other site, you are not going to have instant success overnight. I've been live streaming since 2015. I have been actively streaming since 2018. I am not a Twitch partner. Um, Part of that is because of my own breaks and things that I've had to take, but it's also because this is not something that it's not like a regular 9 to 5 job where you show up, work 2 weeks, and they're like, hey, here's a giant paycheck, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that you very much have to put a lot of effort into. You're going to spend a lot of time and energy and probably a lot of frustration into it, wondering, am I doing things right? Am I not doing things right? Um, just be patient with it. It is a process. Um, you know, Make friends with other streamers, get to know them, and like actually integrate into their community. A lot of new content creators I see will try to piggyback off of larger creators, and it's what I'm specifically referencing is those where you will see a large content creator make a post like on Twitter, saying something about like a current event, and then you see some small creator come out of nowhere and they're like, "Hey, I'm live, come watch me," and it's like, you etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
um, they're the good content creators you run into, because everybody makes that mistake. I made that mistake when I started out as well. I tried to do the exact same thing because it's so common that people think it is an appropriate thing to do. The good content creators that you accidentally do that to, they will explain, say, hey, there's some unspoken rules about
Mm-hmm.
this. Let's talk about it for a second. Let's make it a little bit better for you. So that way, next time you show up, you say hi, you get to know me, and I might just shout you out because you might have something cool going on.
Mm-hmm.
Those like myself who have mental health struggles, who do this for whatever reason. For me, it allowed me to socialize and get to know people in a manner that I can control.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't beat yourself up. Seriously, you're going to have extra patience compared to your average neurotypical person. Um, Imposter syndrome is going to be a really big thing. It is just that. It is a thought. It is not something that you should define yourself by. Um, don't refer to yourself as a small streamer. Even though I know I've said that several times over this explanation. Um, that is one of the first words you should probably strike out of your vocabulary. Um, and if you're really truly wanting to make it as a full-time content creator, um, be patient with yourself, find out what makes you unique, and continue down that path. You will find like-minded people. They will gravitate towards you, and before you know it, you'll have something cool like I have on Twitch, which is a really awesome community that backs you up, feels safe to be around you, and opens up about what's going on, and really just enjoys being around for your content.
So I've got one more question for you. It's the
All right.
question that I ask everyone, and I want to give you the opportunity to answer it as well. If there is one thing that you hope your audience would take away from your work, what would that be?
The one thing that I would say that I want my viewers to take away from my work, I would have to say that a bad day is just a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
It is a singular day in the grand scheme of things. And while it might seem rough, there's another day, you get another chance to try. And sometimes just existing and getting through each day is a success in and of itself. So don't feel discouraged about that. And I believe in you.
Aw, you're so wholesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the success and luck in your upcoming projects and your endeavors. Before we go, can you please tell our audience when they can see you live? And I will link everything in the description.
Yes. So I am normally live on Twitch Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, usually until about midnight, depending on, how I'm feeling. Sometimes I end early. And then lately, I have been doing either Discord streams or I did my first YouTube stream. I do those on Friday in the same time slot.
Cool.
So American evenings is usually when you can find me.
That sounds good. So everyone, please do go check out the links to Griver's content and his projects below in the... Oh God, I can't talk. It's all going to be down in the video description. Go check it out. I'm Kaiju Kiriyama. I cannot talk. You can find me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and Patreon as Kaiju Kiriyama. Oh, do you have a Patreon?
I do. It is under the same username as well.
Cool. Again, I'll link it all in the description. Please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel here so you don't miss any of our updates. Check out Griver. And you know what? I hope you guys all have a lovely afternoon or day or whatever time zone you're in. And we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Later.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording this now.
No more.
We're done.